Hello, honorable members of the clan. So let's go to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. But before we go to the Commission of Inquiry, Mr. President of the Republic of South Africa, siyabonga. Even though, no, but siyabonga. No, let me not be ungrateful, but siyabonga for listening to the people of South Africa, asking you to please extend the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry because there's a lot that needs to be cleaned out in this country, all because of your political party. But again, let's go to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Guys, you know, this morning I was so saddened. I was saddened by the submissions that were made by Advocate Silo Senior Counsel. You know, people are willing to talk. Some people have gone as far as saying, you know what, I'm not going to let rot to continue at my place of work, especially in the organization that is supposed to be protecting and serving the people of South Africa. But as time goes on, you realize that, my goodness, I'm not only putting myself in danger, but I am putting in danger so many other people. But you have to always think about the source of why a person has to take a decision of this nature. What kind of a human being are you? How were you brought up at home to a point where people now are afraid of you? People now, they are thinking that if I showed my face, my name known, I am going to be unalived by you. At what point in your life where you become that individual? An individual that is now feared. And the question is, how sustainable is that? You might feel good that, oh, they're afraid of me. They wouldn't dare. You talk amongst each other as crooks. But is it sustainable though? And I think in order for you to answer that question, you need to go to people like you who are serving time in prison to ask, is this sustainable? And I can tell you, they will say, no, look at me where I am. Because subsequently, that is where you are headed. You are headed behind bars. And do not make it even worse for you, where probably you were going to be slapped with consecutive sentences. And when you calculate these consecutive sentences, they only make 2 years. But now, because when now you are feeling all powerful, people are afraid of you. And if anybody talks to Mtumeli Nkabi, and then it comes back to you, instead of serving 2 years in prison, now you have life. Do you see the stupidity in it? That it is stupid to be feared. As a human being, to be feared is stupid. To be respected is wisdom. And I do see that the people who confuse the two, because there is a thin line between fear and respect. Respect is earned. Fear is demanded. You do things to people to put them under duress to say yes to you when they mean no. So when I was listening to Senior Counsel Silo, I just kept asking myself, that individual, we might not know who they are. How do you feel when you are being discussed in that manner? That you are dangerous. That you are a potential unaliver. Not only you already did something wrong, hence there were investigations on you, on the nonsense that you did at Fort Hare University. You took your dirty little hand and put it in a cookie jar, and now that you are caught with that dirty little hand in your cookie jar, and then now suddenly you're developing this reputation that people must fear you. Who are you making proud? Because certainly it's not your parents, because I know your parents did not brought you up like that. To be feared. Every parent, when they bring up their children, They bring them up to be respectable men and women in society that contributes positively into society, not feared. What went wrong? That now people have to be in camera, hide themselves on something you did. You, the one who took the decision that I'm going to be corrupt. You knew what you were doing is wrong. And now that you are caught, you don't want people to call out your name. That is lack of accountability. But it's not sustainable. You can deny until you are blue in the face. Investigations and evidence is overwhelmingly pointing at you. And like I said, you have options when you are caught. And the option is, okay, somebody blew the whistle on me. Now let me blow the whistle on the people that I was working with in a form of bargaining with the state. Become a state witness. But no, when you and make it even worse for you, do you see what that is why you're a crook. Because this is absent. I just could not have, I was just asking myself, yes, we have two people. One of them was saying, I don't mind being in the public, but I do not want to put other people's lives in danger. The team that I'm working with, the people that I've been working with, the people that have seen me, and then, of course, the perpetrator. The perpetrator, yes, apparently might know who this individual is because they work together. But it's the investigation that must not be jeopardized. Hi, people, come on. Come on. There's something fundamentally wrong, because if you are like this and you happen to be a parent, what have you spawned? Is this a vicious cycle? Do you think your offspring will learn not to do what you did? Or this is what they think is normal, and this cycle just keep going and going and going and going and going? Because if that's what the cycle is going to be doing, then as a society, we need to reshape what morality is. It's degenerated by people who are adults and should have known better. Hi, people. I was like, ngeke bafethu ngeke. Yazi nje ukuthatha u2 rand ubone etafuleni. Can never be me. It can never be me. Somebody tries to put 50 rand in their back pocket, but they miss the pocket and the 50 rand falls on the ground. I pick it up and I run after the individual and say, hey, we saw 50 rand wago. Why? Because I'm the one who's going to be left with the conscience. Yeah, unembeza. You remember that thing called unembeza? I'm the one who's going to be left with it. There I'm going to buy something in Mali when I saw the owner mistakenly miscalculated and the money fell to the ground and they thought it was in their back pocket. How do I know that it's not the taxi fare? No, people, come on. Do better. Do better. Anyways, let's come back to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. So we have a new witness on the stand. I believe the witness is now done with testifying, and this is a retired Colonel Rudolph, sir. Rudolph, sir. I think that's how it's pronounced. I apologize for butchering his surname. And this individual has dropped some bombshells on General Khan and the IDEC leader, or the head of IDEC, Andrea Johnson. Hey! Guys, so allegedly back in 2018 or so, there was a case of assault, and the suspect was General Khan. And the witness was an investigating officer. And Andrea Johnson was working as some crime prevention unit at the National Prosecuting Authority, NPA. And so, one way or the other, Rudolph, as the investigating officer, got duped by, I guess, by General Khan or something like that, to show him the docket before the interview as a suspect, I guess, before he got what you call warning statement. A warning statement basically is when the police call you and say, hey, we have an intentions of coming to you to interview you on some things that you are being suspected of. And then when they get there, of course, the warning statement is where they read you your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law, all that stuff. And whether that is in a form of a confession or you just writing a statement on the accusations. So because there's a victim and the victim has written a statement, but now the victim statement is given to Khan in advance. Guess about who? Yeah, the MPA, Andrea Johnson. So there is irregularities already that are going on from the office that decides who gets prosecuted and who does not get prosecuted. I was like in my head, here we go again. You went to law school and you learned the rules, regulations, ethics, and all of that as a lawyer. Whether it's a prosecutor or a defense or whatever the case might be, you learn that. You learn that if anybody, even if it's your brother, comes and say, hey, I'm in trouble here, yours is to quickly send them away and report that my brother came because he's in trouble with the law and this is what he wanted me to do. What are you doing here? You are putting yourself and placing yourself in a position of fit and proper. Because in the legal fraternity, as far as I'm concerned, you still have a long road ahead of you. One day you might be sitting at your office just like Ngoega Toby, just minding his own business, gets a call from Ramaphosa and say, hey, I'm appointing you as an acting constitutional court judge. I'm sorry, what did you say? I am appointing you as an acting constitutional court judge. Why? Because he is seen to be fit and proper for that job. He's not committing himself in any kind of irregularity as a lawyer. Now, the question I have to ask myself, so Khan's case doesn't go any further because, of course, it gets killed inside the NPA. This makes the witness extremely angry that he cannot proceed because already the suspect already knows that the police are coming to interview him, and he already has the content of what the questions and the lining of the questions are going to be. So what is Andrea Johnson guilty of? Yeah, defeating the ends of justice. So all of these are allegations because this is an investigation, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. So everything I'm saying is allegedly. All right. So where I'm seated, she is guilty, of defeating the ends of justice. Same goes with General Khan. General Khan, I think he's also as much as guilty of defeating the ends of justice because of some kind of relationship, friendship going on, which also touched on the head of the MPA, Shamila Batohi. Now, when you look at this, it's giving a very unfortunate picture. I've seen some people going as far as saying, oh, it's a cabal of this race. And I'm like, we'll never know. We'll never know. It's crazy. So now the next witness that is coming to collaborate Colonel Rudolph's testimony because there are some little bit of hearsay in his testimony. So to cure the hearsay, you bring in now the investigator who was investigating now currently investigating General Khan, and the findings that he's getting, they pretty much collaborate with what the current witness that just took off or stood down from the witness chair is going to talk about. And there's something else that that came to mind while I was listening, and I cannot remember what it was. But then again, it brings us back to what this very channel has been saying about the police. We were all sitting ducks, fellow South Africans. We were all sitting ducks. And once it's making sense. The whole sense of Mayo and murder trial is making sense now. It's a collaboration. It's a collaboration. Because Batohi, when you ask her about the sense of Mayo case, this is what she does. You ask Andrea Johnson of IDEC about the sense of Mayo case, that's what she does. Because they are all in it together. All of them. Somebody once asked me, Clancis, why don't you, because I told you guys, I don't watch the ad hoc committee on this matter. It's a joke. Some people, they were not happy with me for that. Some said, because I don't like Malema, why do I hate Julius Malema? I'm like, oh, come on, shut up with your lazy thinking. To hate somebody, that person must have done something to you personally. I don't know Malema even from a bar of soap for me to hate him. Sometimes people just need to be a little bit complex in thinking. If you accuse me of disliking him, I would agree with you. I'll say, yeah, I don't like him. But I've always said it, I disrespect him. And I've done so ever since he started the EFF. For obvious reasons that many people were not looking directly in their eyes. And I always said, one day you will learn who he really is. Hello, where we are now, right now. Where are we right now? So the point that I'm trying to make about the ad hoc committee, there was no way that I was going to allow myself to be made a fool of. The majority of the people in that ad hoc committee, questionable characters. Questionable characters. And the cherry on top was Julius Malema, a whole person that was going through a criminal proceedings, a member of that committee. And then somebody else who's accused of an entire crime by Janet Kwanazi. Yes, he was kicked out of the police ad hoc committee, but he still sat in. He was still allowed in. Is that how we are doing things in South Africa now? Now, if you asked me, what should happen to the ad hoc committee report? I think it's invalid. It should be considered as invalid. That was a wasteful expenditure by having that ad hoc committee with questionable characters. All the parts of where Julius Malema was questioning any witness in the ad hoc committee, I believe should be discarded. Any comment, any influence, any contribution he may have made in this report should be discarded. Can you imagine in the future scholars looking at this report and looking at that police ad hoc committee, and then they look at you, South Africans? Do you know you're going to go down in history as the most stupidest group of people? That's how you're going to be known by future scholars and the future world. That you allow that. So I'm of the view that this report must be discarded as a whole. Let's consider that ad hoc committee sitting as something that was a wasteful expenditure. The same people, maybe not the same people, but they are the same parliament when Tlatlam Kwanez on the 5th of March 2024 said, hey, not even 2024, 2025, hey, I'm in a situation like this, like this, like that. What did they do? What did they do? Exactly. So that is why I refused to be made a fool of. I refuse. I refuse. The moment I recognize something for what it is, I pull back and I walk away. Now you see why General Khan was not called the error committee. Why Andrea Johnson was likened to Winnie Mandela. Like, seriously? I'm so sorry. Winnie Mandela, Andrea Johnson, hayi bantu ngeke. Ngeke. I think South Africans at that moment were all supposed to just stand up and walk out of the error committee. But ke nahlala. That is why these politicians get away with it. Because when they are even making us fools in the most obvious of ways, we still sit and listen to them. I mean, call early elections, guys, and let's get rid of this bunch. Call early elections. They are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. I'm telling you right now. I am telling you right now. Andrea Johnson is the responsibility of Parliament. Do you think they are tripping over each other, calling a National Assembly to discuss what just happened in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry? Because Andrea Johnson cannot be, and I repeat, cannot be the head of IDEC as we speak after that testimony. Cannot be. But hey, let's wait until she's dragged kicking and screaming. This is the responsibility of Parliament. Hey, asazi bafethu. Like I always say, iyocela ivuthiwe. But all that I'm asking, I love my clan. I love my clan. You guys are honorable indeed. A lot of us stopped watching the error committee. All of us were like, I'm not watching that nonsense. I'm not watching that now. I saw you. I saw you. What are we supposed to do now? So the only solution is exactly what we always suggested here, right here, to completely overhaul the South African Police Service. It looks like the MPA itself. Remember the lady, what was her name again? But I know she was Cronje. Cronje came and spilled the beans on the National Prosecuting Authority. Nobody listened. Nobody. She was elegant and she said things in the most elegant of ways. And I was like, if I was the president, this is a woman not because she's elegant, but because she was naming and shaming exactly what is the problem with NPA: incompetence. Incompetence. Not only incompetence, people treating NPA like they spaza shop, doing as they please. I don't know, maybe but some people, when you give them a little bit of power, they tend to think they are invincible without realizing that power is borrowed. It's only temporal. 7 years. So when are you going to act like you own South Africa because you make big decisions on behalf of South Africans? Crazy. Look at you now. But yeah, it is what it is. This is South Africa, the movie. And I don't know, we on Act 50, Scene 1500. Yeah, that's where we're at. Anyways, guys, I'll continue to observe what's going on in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. I think they are almost about to be back because they're coming back at 11:45 and it's now 11:35. I'll see you next time with a new one. Goodbye.